Well, the changes in the music and the changes from the shift from each album to albums are sort of run in parallel with my life in general, really. And this album is about having turned 30, settled down a bit, got married a bit, no, a lot, and expecting the first baby and moving to Germany where everything's different, which live in a little town, little village where I think there's probably about 300 people. There's no pub, there's no bar, there's no restaurant, there's no shops, there's nobody trying to sell you anything, there's nobody getting in your way of doing anything that you want to do at all. So it's the most perfect thing that could have happened at the most perfect time in my life. And after the last sort of 10 years of touring, it's kind of a bit like, whoa, you know, it's taken me a little while to get used to. Be sat here next to my plant, because I've got a plant now. Welcome to my home.
And I'll be riding right through the night, be there in the morning, and I hope it's alright for you.
Well, one thing about living in this area of Germany is that a man is judged by his wood pile. It's very much, it's kind of a love album, I suppose. It's kind of a tribute to the changes and the things in my life, I suppose.
No matter how hard you try, 'cause it has always been and it will always be that hate breeds hate, violence and greed. That's why we keep on trying, and no sense in denying. Said you got to work in, your theories are flawed, no one gains from the pain.
Well, ever since I was 15, I've been extremely lucky to have always played with extremely talented musicians. And when I was 15, I played in a Thin Lizzy tribute band as the drummer, and I should stop talking about it really because I hate it when it comes up in interviews, but from that time onwards I've always played with exceptional musicians, and in that band I was the youngest member by at least 30 years, well 25 years. But this time around it's slightly different in that I went out and I picked the people that I wanted to play on the album, and these people were people who are not known to me personally. However, the bass player, Danny Thompson, is a real, genuine hero of mine. I could not think of anybody in the entire world who I would want to play on my album more than Danny Thompson. Partly because of how incredible he is as a musician, and partly because of just the amazing music that he's created over the years that I've just absolutely adored. So it was a musical love of what he did, and also just the history and the people he's played with. And so I wrote to his management and I said, here are the demos that Tony and I recorded in Sawmills in Cornwall with John Cornfield. And I sent them the demos, and a couple of days later I got an email back, and I was ready for, well, thanks very much, but Danny's not interested. But they actually wrote back and said, yes, Danny's interested, what are the kind of logistics? And we sorted out the details and the contract and everything, and he said yes. And I texted Tony and Jeff, my manager, and my mum and dad and my wife, and I said, Danny Thompson said yes, and it was just like a dream. It was a dream. Likewise with Clive Deemer on drums, he's played with a number of bands that I really respect, and I've been listening to his stuff with various bands for 10 years, ever since I heard Mighty Rearranger by Robert Plant and the Strange Sensation. I was like, who is that drummer? Who is that guy making those noises and those? It was just a really different way of approaching the music, and for me it really made that album. And obviously the Portishead stuff as well was I was into that kind of when I was at university, and it's yeah.
There is nothing else here.
There were a couple of other special moments for me in the recording of the album, and just kind of moments that happened, unplanned things. One of them came in the shape of a guy from Bristol called Bob Dixon, who's a really great guy. I enjoyed his company very much, and I only got to know him a little bit, but he's become a special part of one of the songs for me, and it's quite incredible that I met him and he played pedal steel on Always Be the One. And then on Million Miles, we were lucky enough that Paul Quinn had an afternoon free. He's the guy that played Hammond on Wildest Dreams, the last studio album.
So I never feel alone. Sometimes I crave silence. Sometimes I crave rock and roll.
Well as having outstanding musicians on the album, we were lucky enough when we went down to Sawmill Studio in Cornwall to have John Cornfield at the studio, who's extremely well known and very well respected in the industry, and has gold and platinum discs for his work with Muse and Supergrass. And Tony and I got to know him a bit then, and we worked a little bit on the demos together, and that was all cool. And then when we got everything recorded, Tony wanted to mix the album on a particular desk, which is called a Neve desk, and I can't pretend to know anything about this, but it's a really warm and luscious sound that we've achieved on it. And one of the things that was quite nerve-wracking for me is that you mix on the desk and you've got all the faders everywhere and all the EQ is right and all those effects are sorted out, and then you play the song through the desk, and that's it, and you print what's on the desk, you save it, and then that's what you've got, that's what you end up with. And then you clear the board, and then you start again for the next song, and you mix the next song, and you cannot go back to the song that you've just done. So if I go, oh, actually, that bit of vocal was a bit, I can't go back and do it again. So I had to work with people who I respected.
Always be the one.
Well, the poem Desiderata itself is one man's view on living life in the correct way, so as to make you happy. If you live your life by the guidelines set out in the poem, then that was his version of what constituted a happy and fulfilling life. And it's got no meaning for some people. For other people, every line of it, they can find some truth and apply it to their own life. And I just love reading it. It's in my parents' bathroom at home, so every time I went to my parents' house and went for a pee, I'd read a different verse of the poem, and it's always meant something to me. It's always felt like it applies to my life. And kind of, if you're going through a difficult time or whatever, then the lines in those poems can kind of like ground you and go, okay, yeah, it's not as bad as it seems, and it just means a lot to me, really. For some reason, just appeals to me.
I lose my nerve, you lose your patience. Not a big thing, just human nature, yeah.
So the track "Loving Me Ain't Easy" is a track that I wrote. It's a guitar piece, really, originally, from my very first album, and I'd always wanted to do it just piano and vocals. And Bruce did a really great interpretation of it on the piano, and we went to the Royal Shakespeare Theatre in Stratford, where he is the director of music there, so he's an extremely busy chap, and we did that song, and he also laid down piano on a lot of the other songs.
Loving me ain't easy. Loving me ain't easy.
In March, when we officially launched the album at the Jazz Cafe in Camden in London, I'm going to be back for a month then, touring solidly, and it'll be slightly different because I won't be able to get quite so wrecked anymore, but there we go, that's life. I've done that, I've got that bit out of the way, and I'm ready to sort of drink a lot of tea.
And I know it's hard, loving me ain't easy. Loving me ain't easy. Loving me ain't